Hey guys, welcome back to another brew day. Welcome to the intro. You made it. It's a long way to go. All right. Today's beer is Baltic Porter. I love a Baltic Porter. I don't know why I haven't made this before, but I haven't, so I'm doing it now. So I did a bunch of research, as I always do, to come up with the recipe that I want to come up with that I think I will like. I will go over the stats as I go here. But let's get started and just jump in with the grain bill. So I am doing mostly Pilsner in this one. It's going to be about 50% Pilsner, followed by about 27.5% American Munich. I'm using Great Western because I can buy it by the bucket load here. Followed by 11% brown malt. Now you can use British pale brown malt. You could use coffee malt is also the same thing. You see coffee malt, that is also brown malt. 5.5% Crystal 20. So just a little bit of caramel, but not overpowering. And then the last two we're going to round out here with 2.7% Crystal 40. I believe this is also Great Western because that's what we have out here. And 2.7% pale chocolate. So just a little touch of pale chocolate malt in this. Okay, it's time to mill the grains. I've got all the grain weighed out. I've got the oats and I've got the rice hulls. I put in 5% worth of the grain bill in oats that helps with head retention, mouthfeel. And I added a couple big handfuls of rice hulls, which helps with just adding space between the grain in the basket so the water can flow through it more easily and you can get all the goodness out of it as it is recirculating. All right, so I throw that all in the mill that up in my home mill with my drill. I can't think of another word that rhymes. Some people like to mill it twice. I used to do that. I just didn't see a lot of benefit or a huge increase in efficiency, and so I decided it wasn't worth it because it creates a lot of extra dust when you're taking that already milled grain and dumping it back into your mill again. It's just a cloud of dust and it gets in your lungs for days. So anyway, that's that. Now it's time to fill the kettle with water. So I'm going to fill my kettle up with water. I use spring water from the store. And I do a full volume mash, so I'm using the full amount of water that I'm going to need for the entire beer from beginning to end. And I will add, at this point, now that the water is filled, a Campden tablet. It's really not necessary, especially since I'm using store-bought spring water. But I have heard that even spring water can naturally have chlorine in it from the just natural habitats. And so, anyway, Campden tablet gives you a nice clean starting spot with no chlorine, no chloramines, all that kind of stuff. And it kills, hopefully, any kind of bugs or anything. I mean, the boiling will too, but anyway, you get my point. Time to heat up that water, heating it up to the strike water temp. And then, you know what time it is. It's time to mash in. Whirlfloc for the homies.
1 hour later. One eternity later.
All right, everybody, we are at the tasting here. I didn't do a pour cam. I'd like to do it, but I just have a bunch of stuff in the kitchen right now, and it's kind of a mess. So I will say not a whole lot of head retention. There was some head, maybe a pinky's worth of head on this thing when I first poured it just a moment ago, but it is disappearing very fast. A little surprising. I don't think I put any oats in this. That might have been part of it. At any rate, I expected this to be 1091, but it was 1093. That's fine. It ended, well, I wanted to end at 1015. It was a little bit higher than at 1019. Believe it or not, even though those numbers are slightly different than the recipe, which happens almost every time, the ABV ended up the same. So it's 10%, just as the recipe thought it would be. Okay. It smells boozy. I mean, it's 10%, so I have to say when I was kegging this up, it smelled amazing. So I have high hopes. I'm getting a lot of coffee, like that dark kind of charcoaly, you know, when the malt is really dark, it gets kind of acrid. But yeah, I get a lot of coffee off of this, which is interesting. Obviously, there's no coffee in it, but I don't know why. In my mind, I do sort of feel like Baltic porters have a coffeeness to them, even though there's no coffee in them. Anyway, I'm going to try it here. Carbonation is good. Oh, that's good. I'm not kidding. Wow. So much coffee flavor. It's wild. I'm just re-looking. I keep looking down at the grains. Brown malt, Munich, which I love Munich, caramel, and pale chocolate. Holy cow. I mean, this is good. It'd be nice if it had a little bit better head retention, but flavor-wise, oh yeah, this is exactly what I want a Baltic porter to taste like. Maybe it would be it may be a little bit too acrid, if I'm using the right term, for some people, meaning that the dark malts are just a little bit too bitter. I don't mind it, but I can see some people saying it's too much of the dark malt is making it bitter. Here's my suggestion: if you make this, and I'll try to make a note, so if I do it again, I do it as well. And that is top mash the dark malts. If you're not familiar with that, basically when you're mashing, you mash your regular malt for the full hour, but you hold back your dark malts. So your chocolate malt, your brown malt, Crystal 20, Crystal 40, I don't think need. So I would just do the chocolate and the brown malt. Hold those back, and then you would end up after the hour of mashing, you just gently mix in the darker malt on top until it's all saturated with liquid. Continue your recirculation for about like another 20 minutes, and that's it. That's top mashing, where you're not getting any sugars off of those dark malts. So instead of leaving them in there for the full hour to get more bitter, you only want the flavor from them. That's what I would do differently. But that being said, I really enjoy that. This is going to be a fun one to drink. Stay tuned. I'm going to come back. Boy, if I can get this edited and out quickly, I want to come back a week later because I have about 10 of these canned up that I give out to friends at the end of the year. And I did a guile. So I used the original wort to carbonate them in the can. And that tends to really make a difference. So I kind of want to pop one of those cans with you and do a quick, taste to see, is it, how much better is it, or is it using natural carbonation and the original wort. Anyway, that's all I got. I will be back in another week with another video. I've got something already brewing as I speak that's going to be, I'll be putting yeast and fermenting it tomorrow. I already have to make an order today for a huge beer I'm going to be doing that's going to be really interesting after that. And I even have an idea for a beer after that. So I got plenty of things to do. Can't wait for you to come back and see them. And until then, keep on brewing. Cheers. Hey everybody, it's me just breaking in at the end of the video. How do you like that? I wouldn't even let you have the end. Hey, it's been a week and a half, and the bottle or the can felt pretty firm. Not fully firm. I think there's still has some carbonation left to do, but I wanted to try this since I could put it right here at the end of the video, and you could tell. This is the one that I did a guile where I would use the original wort to carbonate. Oh, here we go. I don't know if it's that carbonated, but we'll see. Using a big glass because it's a big can and it's bottle conditioned, so you don't want to pour the last bit, and so you don't want to pour some into a glass, tip it up, and pour it again because now it's all mixed. You know, the yeast is mixed in. Well, it is. I can see the carbonation. You can't because of this this glass, but super highly carbonated. Still not much head retention, to be honest. Still smells good. I would actually wager to say it smells cleaner, a little bit better. It's not fully carbonated. It's a good thing the rest are still sitting out. That will hopefully finish carbonating. But there's some, it's, what's the word? Petulant, meaning it is just a little bit carbonated. It actually makes it pretty smooth. I actually think it might be better to undercarbonate this a little bit. Very little bitterness. The guile really does make a difference. Cheers. See you on the next one.